Okay, today we'll be making one of my most favorite snacks, and that's Vietnamese spring roll. We'll have our noodles, and I've already boiled some here. Cool it down afterwards, obviously, so that it doesn't continue to cook. Got some bean sprouts, and of course, some shrimps, which we're gonna go ahead and steam and cut in half here in a minute. And of course, you just want to kind of go ahead and make sure that everything's prepped for you. Okay, so what we have here are some lettuce, some cilantros, and of course some ham or meats that you want to go ahead and put with your spring roll. First, we'll chop up the lettuce and get it going so that at least it's ready to go. Set it aside afterwards. And as far as um, the rest of the ingredients, I put some green onions in there just because I like the taste of green onions. So I certainly I put certain things inside anything that I make to taste, and a lot of the recipes that you see out there are primarily for individuals that are for restaurant style or maybe for the masses. And for me, if I'm gonna make something, I want to make sure that it tastes good for me. So we're gonna take some of the bean sprouts. I'm gonna chop it up just a little bit, just because they tend to be a little hard, and I don't want it to poke through the rice wrapper. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and start chopping up the bean sprouts and setting them aside here in a minute. And of course, we want to make sure that we get small enough to the point where it doesn't poke through the wrapper, as I said earlier. And we're gonna go ahead and get the shrimps here, and of course get things moving with them. I've already steamed them or boiled them a little bit, actually, just to make sure that they're fully cooked. So right now I've already deveined them, and they're clean, and I'm just gonna go ahead and slide them sideways so that I can put several of them inside each of the spring rolls. So I use tiger shrimps just because they're a little bit bigger than a lot of the other shrimps, and I've used some of the larger shrimps in the past too. So you can use whatever it is that you want to use. Just make sure that they're meaty, so that at least every bite has a good chunk of some of the ham or sliced meat, and of course some of the shrimps. Now what we're gonna do is basically prep everything and get everything situated so that like I said before, I like to work with clean surface and clean area just to make sure that it's a lot easier for me to maneuver and move around. And of course, we can't forget about the Thai basil. And I think I go overboard with the Thai basil. I like to put several of those inside each of the spring rolls just because I love the taste of them. So here we go. We've got the Thai basil, the ham, the bean sprout, and of course the lettuce and cilantro and shrimp. Okay, so next what we're gonna do is we're gonna prep everything up and make sure that we've got everything in order. So the wrapper that I like to use the square ones, and of course you can use the circle ones, but I like the square ones just because it allows me to put a little bit more of meat and vegetables inside it. So you're gonna do is just wet both sides. All you're gonna do is wet both sides. So I've already rinsed one side and the other side, and eventually it's gonna get soft. Okay, so first we're gonna go ahead and put some of the meat in the bottom, and of course you can lay this out however you want to lay it out. And typically I like to put the meat first and put some lettuce. Okay, and what I'll do is I'll put some of the lettuce on top of the meat, and of course the cilantro. I put the green onions in there as well, and I try to create a big, bulky roll. And when you go to the restaurant, sometimes you see them, they're like $4 or $5 for two of them, and you notice that they're fairly small. These are going to be a little bit larger. They're going to be a little bit more heftier, just because I like to make sure that every bite is scrumptious. I don't want to make those small ones. So you're gonna take the corners basically and fold them in, and I take them and actually will fold them over each other so that it doesn't get moved, so that you can actually get everything properly tight in there. So as you can see, I'm kind of tugging on it and making sure that I can get it nice and tight inside the wrapper. And of course, when you roll it, just like a spring roll, there you go. There's one. And we're gonna do this again, and of course, wet both sides. Okay, just rinse them out. Some people will dip in water. I just like to just put them over the faucet and rinse them out, and eventually they'll get soft. And we'll make a second one. And obviously, when you're making this, you know, get the feel for the wrapper. And the first time I made this, don't be afraid. I actually broke a couple of wrappers. I punctured right through them, but I wouldn't worry about that so much because eventually you're gonna get it right. And like I said, this is one of my favorite snacks in the day, and obviously I've wrapped a few of these in time, and you tend to start changing things up the way that you want to make them. Okay, so this time I'm putting some cilantro in there, of course, and I'm putting some Thai basil in there just because this is my personal one. The first one was for my fiance, so she doesn't like cilantro. She doesn't want basil in there, but like I said, you can make this to your specification. And of course, on this one, I'm gonna basically put a little bit more of the shrimp in there. I want to put 4 in there just because, again, this is my roll. Okay, so again, you're gonna tuck both sides in, let them touch each other so they stick to each other, so it's a lot easier to manage and to roll without moving things around in there. You're gonna basically just kind of tug that and pull on it and make sure that it rolls nice and neat. Now keep in mind that even if it doesn't roll nice and neat and real pretty, it really doesn't matter. You know why? It's going to taste good anyway. You made it exactly the way that you wanted to make it. So for the third one, again, rinse it out and obviously wait a little bit until the rice paper or the wrapper kind of basically gets softened enough that you can roll it. So on this one, I'm putting a little bit more just because I know it's my third one. It's the last one that I'm probably going to do. And I'm just going to try to load up as much of the ingredients that I have left to make sure that I don't have any waste. But I still have to make sure that I can still wrap it. Okay, so I'm gonna put everything in there. And the key thing here also is you can make this roll as good and with all the nice ingredients that you want. I've actually done it with spinach inside it. I've done it with steak inside it. It really depends on how you want to make it for your taste buds. Okay, and of course the key thing is also the sauce, and I'll show you a little bit later when we make the sauce. It's very simple. They call it a peanut sauce because it's just peanut butter, hoisin sauce, and whatever it is that you want to put in there. You can put some hot sauce in there. We can put some chili oil sauce in there. Just depends on what it is that you want to taste. So for my final one, this one's a little bit bigger. Obviously, I want to try to make sure that I can actually wrap this thing properly. But at the end of the day, just be careful and do not tear the wrapper. If you tear the wrapper, you're gonna have to start from scratch. So just do it carefully and just do it a little bit slowly and you'll be fine. So now you see I've got 3 nice big spring rolls. This is not a spring roll that you would see at a Vietnamese restaurant. Okay, their spring rolls there are really small and compact, and not very much ingredients inside it. But that's just the way that they work. They were built for the masses, and there's the sauce that you can see. So now that the sauce is done, again, peanut butter, and I use the peanut butter with chunks in it, just because every time I use it, I like to make sure that I can get that little bite of peanut chunks in there. And of course, hoisin sauce, like I said, if you want to add additional things that you like to taste in there as far as hot sauce and chili oil sauce, you're perfect. So now if you basically made this without making a video, you can make a ton of this in 30 minutes. So it's perfect for a little bit of gathering, a little bit of a midnight snack kind of thing. Okay, so enjoy. Hopefully this video was helpful to you, and I'll see you next time.